Hi, this is Ajanta ma'am. This is part 2 to the story of An Angel in Disguise. I've already done a video on the first part of the story and now I shall be continuing. Before I continue, please subscribe my channel, hit the bell icon for a complete analysis of your curriculum, your short stories, your poems, as well as Shakespeare. Now, in the first part of the story, I have already discussed that the boy was taken in by a farmer and Katie is taken away by Mrs. Ellis. The youngest one is Maggie, who is disabled and bedridden. She is left alone because nobody is ready to take her in that condition. Mr. Thompson, the wheelwright, decides to take her home so that he can take her to the poorhouse the next day, as he knows his wife would not like her to stay at home forever or accept her. But when he carries her in his arms and reaches home, his wife, Mrs. Thompson, becomes angry and her face is in flame. But as he carried Maggie, there was a connection that somehow had developed between Maggie and Joe Thompson. He went back home and Joe begs his wife to tolerate Maggie for some time, for a single day. He asks her to speak to her kindly and gently. He reminds her of Maggie's dead mother and of the sorrow and the loneliness Maggie would have in the future. But when Joe goes out for work, Mrs. Thompson is all alone with Maggie the whole day. Her attitude towards Maggie changes slowly and she becomes quite fond of her. Mrs. Thompson has a change of heart, and that Joe Thompson notices and realizes that his wife's heart had been dark, cold and miserable for a long time because she had nothing to love and care for. They never had children. And that is the reason why she became irritable, ill-tempered and self-afflicting. The main theme of the story is that people can change and get emotionally attached to others. Importance of love has been emphasized and it is essential for human survival. This poor girl, Maggie, this disabled girl, is a pure soul who proves to be an angel for the Thompson family. Though her own life was full of darkness previously, but when she came into the Thompson household, she fills the life of the Thompsons with happiness and gives them the reason to live. The compassionate Mr. Thompson takes her home in spite of her hopeless disease or disability. Thus, you can say selfishness is defeated by selfless love. There is no proper description of the place, and the story is narrated in the third person. So Maggie, who is suffering from a spinal injury, is suggested by the villagers to be taken to the poorhouse. But Mr. Thompson takes pity on her and carries her home. Maggie almost begs Mr. Thompson to do so, to carry her home, because she does not want to live all alone in this broken down home. And she had a disability, she couldn't move. So she begs Joe Thompson. But Joe Thompson's wife would never welcome the child, and that Joe Thompson knew. But when he carried Maggie in his arms, he held the sick child to his breast. There was a bond that corded around both of them and which brought them together. When confronted by his short-tempered wife, Joe told her that he was just letting her stay at their house for a night, and he would talk to the guardians of the poorhouse next day and take her. But Maggie managed to transform the irritable, ill-tempered woman to a loving, caring person. And Joe Thompson felt as if an angel had come to their home, disguised in the form of helpless Maggie, and filled their home and hearts with the sunshine of love. The sad eyes and the patient face of the little one touched many hearts and even knocked at them for entrance. But none of the villagers wanted to take her home because of her disability. It was only Joe Thompson who took her, because he couldn't manage to let her be in this rundown home without anyone to take care of. So he took her home, and Maggie, who was initially seen as a burden for everybody, turned out to be a precious burden which the Thompsons bore happily. She appeared to be an angel in disguise who filled their home with hearts with love. Home and hearts with love. Thank you for watching.